appreciate. I know you have a very busy schedule. I want to kind of, before I hand it over to Athar again, who'll hand it over to Mr. Kak, I just wanted to kind of reiterate what Mr. Tanka said. We definitely are with the sentiment. We are with the farmers. We're really very thankful. But also, we have garnered a huge strength. We started with 3 or 4 people last year, and today we're hundreds of them in Ibaadatkhana. So the voice echoes, and people do relate to our our principles, our values, and more people are joining every day. So next year when we're here, we hope to see our membership in thousands globally. With that, I'll hand it over to Athar. Athar, you please take it on from
Yeah,
here.
I can hear you. So thank you so much, Vivek sir, and thank you, Tasawwur sir. So our next speaker is a retired officer of the Indian Air Force who rose to the rank of Vice Marshal. He was awarded the Vishisht Seva Medal in 1981, and fortunately, with immense pride, I can say he is one of the many petitioners who has moved to the Supreme Court against this unlawful abrogation of Article 370. So over to you, Kapil Kak, sir.
He's also a Kashmiri, by the way, like you.
Okay, sir.
You've forgotten, and like Mr. Vivek Tanka, you've forgotten
Yes,
to, and like Tasawwur also.
Sir, ek hi khoon hai.
And of course,
Like
you
me,
too,
sir,
Raju
also.
Saab.
Me too, that's right. Sorry for the non-Kashmiris, not. We regard you
No, but
Kashmiris by
Kashmir is
spirit.
also an extended family. I think Punjabis are as much Kashmiris, Gujars are as much
Everybody is a
Kashmiris.
Kashmiri. Everybody is a Kashmiri because we represent the Sufi culture, the inclusive culture, the Rishi culture.
but may I start?
Yeah, sir, you can start. You
Okay,
can start, sir.
okay. Thank you, Arthur. I've heard some very visionary words spoken before me by Mantuji, Katu Saab, Vivek Tankaji, and of course Majid Manan. I'm not a political animal, but I want to address inclusiveness in a broader security and strategic construct, which affects India most of all. And I think, first and foremost, I want to congratulate Ibaadatkhana, their founders, who are celebrating the annual day today. I have been associated only last few months, and what I have seen and witnessed in terms of the conversations, the richness of the debate, and the totality of understanding for each other. The whole process is of understanding, of amity, and I tend to agree with Vivek Tankha Sahab. So let's go beyond Hindu, Muslim, and religion and everything else, and look at the totality of what we are trying to embrace in terms of the intellectual construct of Ibadat Khana. I want to address specifically the point I was asked to speak on, which is pathways to inclusiveness. And here, I would like to start by saying it's a circularity involving access, attitude, policy formulation, communications, and opportunities. And let me address these one by one. I won't take too much time. When we talk about access, what is the environment like? Unfortunately for us, and I don't want to underplay this one bit, this is a dark age for India. This is a dark period for all of us because the fundamentals of the very idea of India are under threat. And I understand that idea as represented in the constitution, in inclusiveness, in secularism, in democracy. I'm talking about inclusive democracy and not electoral democracy, which we are witnessing today. Electoral democracy is transactional. Inclusive democracy is eternal. And these are two issues that we need to look at. When we look at the attitude, uh, is there a willingness of the people to be part of the inclusive process? Unfortunately, at this point of time, in terms of the electoral arithmetic and the representation in the government and their articulations, as has been said before, we are we are up against a huge tide. And I think we'll have to marshal not just in Ibaadatkhana, but society as a whole in India as to how do we grapple with the dark forces which have been unleashed against us. The farmers' agitation is just before us, and I'm glad we have raised a resolution supporting that agitation. It's fundamental to India in myriad ways. In terms of policy framework, I'm sorry, as Athar said a while ago, I'm one of the 36 petitioners against the abrogation of Article 370. So as was said in Urdu, it's not just हमारे पेट पे लात मारी गई है, कश्मीरियों के लिए तो हमारे दिल और दिमाग और हमारी रूह पर एक तरीके की लात मारी गई, हमारी रूह पे, the soul. Because without a consultative process, as the farmers have so palpably demonstrated to the whole world in this agitation, that without consultative processes, how can policies of such a magnitude be implemented? And this is what has happened there. And the point that was made is that there is mixed reaction to the farmers' agitation is absolutely valid, because the point I made about the criticality of communications is even more valid today, because the media has been sold out. Whether it print media, fortunately, is still keeping its sanity, but some of the television media, and of course the toxic social media, is all over trying to break every stone which has formed the edifice and structure of the totality of the idea of India that we are talking about. So I think in terms of the pathways, first and foremost is the need for belief. And I can do no better than quote John Stuart Mill, who said, uh, one person's belief is far more than 100,000 who have only interests. So all of us, like Ibaadatkhana has more than proven over the last 1 year, belief is extremely crucial. Extremely crucial. It's not just what Stuart Mill said in terms of one individual having belief vis-a-vis 100,000 who have only interests. We have to enhance and increase the core strength of our beliefs in inclusiveness, our beliefs in amity, and enlarge and expand the civil society footprint to a wider, far wider set of individuals. And here, one more sort of instance comes to mind, and that's what Churchill told Jawaharlal Nehru. This is of great interest to us when we discuss amity and understanding. He said, and I quote, "You, sir, you have conquered two great human infirmities. You have conquered fear and you have conquered hate. Unfortunately, there are two dark emotions which run across India at this time. One is fear of people not wanting to confront the state, not wanting to confront the system which is ruling us, and hate, which is created by the system which is ruling us to polarize and divide India so that electorally they become more powerful. And like Hitler's time, after all, Hitler was also an elected leader. He didn't do a coup d'etat. So I think if we talk about belief, then the issues are that of inclusive democracy. I think to say that we have an inclusive democracy as of now is completely unfounded, because we have to, as a activist societal group, and this is a global society, we're not just talking about people in India, as Tasawwur Saab rightly said, there are people in Pakistan, there are people in West Asia and the United States. I think inclusive democracy has to be reclaimed, and no better than people like us who are committed to inclusiveness, to secularism, to democracy in the true sense of the term, every effort will have to be made by us individually, societally, as also in terms of enlarging the footprint so that we at the end of the day are able to prevail over the two forces that Mantu Karjuji was talking about in his introductory remarks. That one is the force of divisiveness and breaking India, and the other is uniting India, which we represent in Ibaadatkhana. I would also like to say that unless we strengthen inclusive political processes, now what do I mean? This seems a big sounding word. Political process is the strength of the institutions which are required to serve the democratic framework. I, for one, for example, with the highest respect for my dear relative and colleague, Markande Karchuji, the judiciary has shown itself as not having enough strength in its vertebral column. I'm a witness to that because my petition is lying for over a year, but the judiciary is worried and they come within hours to decide as to whether freedom is denied to a toxic media man who does nothing but hate-filled propaganda on his channel to divide India so that no one can ever unite it again. Now, this is my problem, and this is not just judiciary. There are other institutions which are under threat. I think United Nations Development Program UNDP 2030 is a very good document for reference in terms of the point I'm trying to make. That unless you have an inclusive political process in an inclusive democracy, the threats will only increase. We can keep meeting every day in Ibadat Khana. We are not going to make a difference on the ground. I would like to make last 2 points. One is the need for education. This has to begin with the students, with the teachers, with the leaders, if we are to take the pathways we need to take. And here is where we can again individually, as members of parliament, two of them joined us a while ago, and other elements of society, we insist through multiple ways that this education about inclusivism and inclusive democracy start at the school level and go all the way up to the highest levels of university education as a compulsory teaching subject. Linked to that is not just that, the role of the civil society. Now, the governments are going to do what they have ideologically driven themselves to do. I don't think we can change that. We have been positive in saying that our role will increase and the forces of reason will prevail over the forces of illiberalism, which are at the moment striking the very heart of India. We can hope for that. But how do we do it? And that is where civil society plays a very, very crucial role. And with these set of 6 or 7 suggestions that I have made towards the pathways we need to embrace to make inclusiveness in India a reality rather than a dream, is what I would like to conclude with. I'd like to thank Tasawwur Saab and Athar once again for giving me this opportunity to say a few words on this very special day, annual celebration of Ibadat Khan.
Thank you, Mr. Kak. We really appreciate a great message.